Daniel Marins, take off your hat as executive producer, put on your hat as being with Social Security works. Where do things stand for people who are concerned about defending and protecting Social Security? Where do you think things stand right now in terms of the president's discussions on those issues with Republicans? And are you still nervous that he's willing to put in these cuts?
Well, David, I'm not nervous. I'm certain. I mean, the president has, it's not just that he's open to them at this point. I mean, if you go to the White House website, the Chain Consumer Price Index, which would cut Social Security benefits compounding more year after year, is part of his proposal. And we anticipate that it will actually be part of his official budget resolution this year. Gene Sperling, his top economic advisor on the Ask Me Anything event on Reddit this past week, fiercely defended the chain CPI with what some might say was sort of false or fallacious logic. But the point is, David, the same as back in 2011, those of us that are concerned about the health of Social Security, those of us who think that we're facing a retirement income crisis in this country, and that if anything, the tiny thin reed that is Social Security, the one thing that is left standing for most middle-class Americans in terms of retirement and income security, should be expanded or made more robust because it's infinitely sustainable. It's not tied to healthcare costs like Medicare and Medicaid, rather than cut, which is what the president seems to have embraced as a token, as a way of forging some kind of a grand compromise with Republicans. We are basically what saved us back in 2011, and what could very well save us again in 2013, is that the Republicans just don't seem to know how to say yes. I mean, the Senate Democrats rolled out their budget. It doesn't include cuts to social insurance programs. It's the cuts on the Medicare side are purely on the provider side, cutting out waste, using Medicare as leverage to negotiate better prices on drugs and things like that. It does not include the chain CPI. The Senate Democrats' alternative to the sequester did not include the chain CPI or any other Social Security cuts. And again, that's the Senate Democrats, not the House Democrats. The House Democrats, a majority of the House Democratic caucus has signed a letter saying that they vigorously oppose any of these cuts. And in fact, a smaller group, as we've discussed, 25 of them have said that they'll vote against any plan that includes these cuts. So this is something that is purely being driven by President Obama and the White House. The president wants this grand bargain for whatever symbolic or political reasons. And at this point, because he's sort of painted himself into a corner, the Republicans aren't really budging that easily on the sequester. They seem content to allow these massive cuts that would destroy jobs in the economy, and they're not blinking. And so he needs to keep sweetening the deal to get them to replace the sequester with something. What progressives are saying, and where perhaps we can gain some traction, is, you know what? The sequester's dumb. It's going to cost 700,000 jobs out of the economy. Instead of taking an axe to the budget, instead of also replacing the sequester with some nasty grand bargain where the Republicans are going to get to then say, keep their fingerprints off of these Social Security and Medicare cuts, let's just do one thing, one simple bill, one line. And that is the line that was introduced, the one-sentence bill introduced by Representative John Conyers and a number of other progressive Democrats like Representative Alan Grayson, and that is cancel the sequester. You want to deal with the sequester? Just get rid of it. Don't trade it for some other horrible things that are going to screw working Americans down the line. Just cancel it. And David, you know, we've seen every single election, right? The logic of this grand bargain is that the president's going to get some revenue, we're going to get some revenue, we're going to get the deficit reduction that we need, that I don't think that we need. I don't even think that that's ideal. But that's the logic, and that everyone will get political cover for the things that they want. The Republicans will get political cover for raising revenue because they got Democrats to give on social insurance programs. But it's like Lucy and the football and Charlie Brown. The president, the president showed good faith with the Affordable Care Act. He wanted it to be paid for. And so he paid for it with savings from Medicare in large part, $700 billion in savings. And the Republicans, who have never hesitated to attack the program, continually attacked him on that. In fact, even Paul Ryan, who included those savings in his budget, attacked him for those cuts. So there's no question that the idea that Democrats are not going to have their fingerprints on this is a great political miscalculation. And so I think they're losing on policy and they're losing on politics.